Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Chris Ashley. Appreciate you joining me here with Passion for the Wild and Wonderful. So, what I want to go over today is 5 tips that I think are some of the things that I've found to be some of the most useful for me in turkey hunting, and I think would be great, especially too for beginning turkey hunters. But I think as you spend time in the woods, you'll find out that this is something that can be really beneficial to everyone. So I'll start out with number 1. So whatever weapon you're going to choose to use for when turkey hunting, make sure that you know how effective that weapon is and how efficient you are with that weapon. So whether you choose to go with a bow, make sure that you're out there practicing as much as possible. If you're going to be turkey hunting in a blind, make sure you practice when you're sitting in the seated position. Practice shooting out of the blind. It's amazing the number of people that you've got to watch and see that when they've been in a blind, that their arrow has clipped the blind and deflected when they were either trying to shoot at a deer or a turkey. So practice the scenarios that you're going to be in when you're going to be turkey hunting. And those are a couple with a bow. With a gun, practice getting up against a tree, maybe using a bipod or a monopod when you're shooting. Try different chokes, try different ammunition. But also to make sure when you're doing it that you test it out at various yardages. 20, 30, 40, 50. Find out what the effective kill is for that weapon. Use some of the targets that represent a turkey neck and head. Count the number of BBs or pellets that are in there when you shoot at those various yardages. Look at where the concentrated pattern is. You might find that even though you're aiming dead center for the area below the head and above in the mid-neck area, that your pattern is actually centered off a little bit, or maybe it shifts as you get further out on your yardages. That can let you be able to adjust where it is on your aiming point when it comes the time for the harvest of the turkey. So, number 2, roost the birds the night before. It's one thing if maybe you're having to travel a long distance and you're not sure where the birds are going to be, that you just come into it fresh in the morning. But if it's somewhere where you can go the night before, go out, sit down in an area that you think is a good area for birds to fly up and roost. Try not to be immediately in that area so you run the risk of maybe busting them off when you leave. But generally for me in Ohio and West Virginia, it's up off of ridges coming off oak flats. They normally like to get on high elevation and pitch off and land into a tree that has some nice horizontal limbs. Other areas might be field edges. But what I recommend is go out in the woods, sit down. If you want to use an owl hooter, go ahead and use the locator call as it's starting to get low light in the evening. Sometimes too, you can just sit and listen for the birds to fly up. Also too, when gobblers get on the roost, sometimes they'll go ahead and sound off and gobble a few times during the evening there, right at last light. So use that to identify where the birds are and set yourself up to be able to position yourself equal to or above in elevation of where those birds are the next morning and get within 100 yards, let's say, inside that good comfort zone with them that stands a better chance of being able to pull those birds in straight off the roost. Number 3, so whether it be you're setting up first thing in the morning or maybe it's later in the morning on a second setup or others after that, when you first set up, start out with soft calls. So you never know that there could be a bird that's just over the bank, around a bend, what have you, and if you come out of the gates firing hard on a diaphragm call or maybe a paddle call, box call, it could spook them. Okay, so start out softly, wait to see if you hear any kind of response, and after each session you can build the sound louder and louder to where you're really starting to go off longer distances if you're not getting that initial response. But at least first, start off softly and then build up as you need to. So, number 4, set up equal to or above the elevation of the gobbler. Okay, generally the turkeys, it's a lot harder to call a bird, in my opinion, downhill than it is to call them around the side hill or up to you. I don't know whether it's because, especially here, like I said, in West Virginia or Ohio, if they get onto a high point, they're able to look down. And if they're not seeing anything down there, they're less likely to come down. With us being flats, The higher you are, they're not able to see until they get up to that same flat. And the same way with going around the side hill. Have a lot better success having them come around at the same elevation or coming up. So that's another benefit of being able to roost them the night before. And then number 5, position yourself so that you have some background cover. So you either want to sit against a tree that is a little bit broader than your shoulders, or maybe sit where you're in some brush that helps to break up your silhouette. But you want that camo to have that background to it to help break up and hide some of your movement. If you're going against a tree, I recommend too that you sit on the shady side of a tree if possible. Okay, the idea is that you don't want to be sitting there with a spotlight shining right down on you and every bit of your movement is being highlighted that a bird can pick up real quick and then they're gone. You'll hear that alarm putt if you're, I'll say, lucky. Or you just never do see the bird and you didn't even realize they came in, busted you, and it was gone. So sit in that shady side of the tree. That'll help hide your movement. So again, I hope these 5 tips help you, and good luck out in the woods. If you like what you heard, please go ahead and subscribe, like the channel. I'm going to be putting out some more information out there for you. And again, thanks for spending your time here on the channel with me. And again, my name's Chris Ashley. Thank you.